Okay, we'll have your attention. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you would rise for the invocation, and John will lead us in the invocation.
Let us all uncover, please. Our God and our Father, we come here today as our TREPO members meeting here tonight. We ask you help us, dear God, to make things go well for our TREPO members here. God, we ask that you help the ones in our Midwest that's had these problems with the storms. And Lord, we see these things on television and just lives has been taken away from these people. And Lord, they just need your blessings and their help so hard. They're just been hit so hard, and it's so hard to see these things and know that they're dealing with what they're dealing with. And we help it, we just please help them all you can, but do the best you can for them, and we pray that you help them the best you can. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I want to thank everyone out tonight for the last meeting of this year, and wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and we'll do that again at the very end. But we very much appreciate the size crowd that we've got tonight. That means that there's an awful lot of interest in what's taking place down at the river. So with that said, I think we'll move on then to roll call.
Point of order.
Pardon me? Yes.
Point of order.
Sure.
Since TREPO is not operating within a nonprofit organization as the bylaws state, it needs to be put on the record that it's outside the scope of the TREPO covenants and bylaws.
Okay, we'll go noted with that, George. Thanks. Okay, you got a note of that? Thank you. So we'll go forward with roll call. Thank you.
Sherry Hester. Here. Nikki Olson. Here. Myself. Victoria M. Here. Glenn Hunter.
Here.
Tom Trammell.
Here.
Sammy King.
Here.
Sassy Johnson. Here. Joan Nano.
Here.
John Bryant.
Here.
Vonda Ackerson. Here. Charlie Thompson.
Here.
Phyllis Ray. She's out sick. Tommy Matthews.
Here.
Charlie Arnett.
Here.
Lisa Kirby. Lisa Kirby. Rick Palm. Rick Palm. Mary Braylor. Here.
Okay, so Rick Palm said that he would be out of town, and Lisa Kirby, I hadn't heard anything from Lisa Kirby. Has anyone heard from Lisa Kirby? Okay, so would ask the board, what's your pleasure to excuse the members that have called in, Phil Ray and Rick Palm?
I thought Phil Ray, she's been pretty sick.
Yes, so we're asking to excuse her.
Yes.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we excuse everyone who has called in.
Second that motion.
So, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. You have a copy of the agenda. Look over the agenda. The agenda is in order. Ask for a motion to approve.
I move we approve the agenda.
I second it.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We'll move on to approve the September minutes. Do you have the September minutes?
They were approved.
I don't have them.
I don't know. You know what? I apologize for this. That is not in order, so we don't need to approve September minutes. That was a carryover.
No,
You have November minutes in front of you.
Yes, so you have, Board members, I actually put that in error on the agenda, so it should read November minutes. So a motion would be in order for the November minutes.
Oh, my. There, I'll second it.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve November's minutes.
Motion by Charlie Thompson. Second?
We approved, where are we? We approved the
November minutes, I had an
We're
error,
looking
yes.
at them and making.
All right, I've got a question.
Well, we need a second, and we'll have a discussion.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
It's sitting there, Tommy Matthews will continue to work on getting the signed numbers for the buildings and pavilions. That was discussed last meeting that already done.
So would you like to have that stricken from those minutes?
Correct it.
Just use
That's
the
not what it
correction.
said.
Okay. All right, that'll be noted for approval then. Are there any other corrections to the minutes? Mr. Parliamentarian, we need to, can we approve that as a consensus with that, or we need to go back to the motion?
What, the changes?
Yes,
Oh, no, you're fine.
okay. Any
You
discussion?
just approve the minutes as amended.
Yes, okay. So we have a motion and a second, so any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed?
Me.
Okay, so we'll move on to
I haven't had
the,
time to read them, sir, because I just got them tonight.
thank you, Joan. So we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
We're skipping the secretary's report for this reason, right?
My understanding.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there was a handout to the board members on our bank balances. Drummond Bank checking account 43,205.80. The reserve account at Drummond's and savings is $50,003.49. And the new account that has our new membership fees in it, it's a checking account, $8,029.02 for a total of $101,238.31. Any questions?
Yeah, on the Drummond memberships for checking, what was the starting balance on that?
$1,200.
1,200, okay. So the balance of that actually represents the new monies coming in for memberships?
Right.
Okay.
That's monies that's been received through the mail as well as through the automated online procedure. Joan?
Yes, where do we get O2 on that?
I'm sorry?
Why is there an O2?
We get interest on that account.
Pardon me?
There's an interest bearing on all the checking
And
accounts.
what is that price?
Well, last time I think it was 02 cents.
Pardon me?
It's very little, it's nominal.
I don't know the percentage, but the last one was like 2 cents.
We don't know the percentage.
They don't give us a percentage, they just give us on the checking account what we got for the month. Like our $50,000 we've gotten out of the time that's been in the bank, we've got $3.49. It doesn't give me a percentage.
Quite often it changes monthly, so you need more of a detail on that?
I'd like it.
Okay, so we'll get you a detail on the interest on the account.
Interest rate is 0.1%. 0.01%.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, are there any more questions on the financials for November?
I have a question.
Sure.
Are any of those accounts frozen by the IRS?
No,
Or any Trico accounts frozen by
No.
the IRS?
no.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve the last month, is that correct, Mr. Parliamentarian?
I think it'd be your best advice
We got
to
October
approve the
also.
expenditures for November. and approve
Sure.
the expenditures in November.
So let's-
Then you can make a
Go
motion
back
to
and-
the treasurer.
Well, that's on here as well. So the expenditures for November,
Okay.
let's see, the expenditures, that's not, the auto drafts are separate, right?
Right.
Okay, so our expenditures were $9,974.35, and then the auto drafts were $571.82.
The expenditures are actually checks written, and the auto drafts are automatic. payments like their electric bill and things that are automatically taken out.
Right, electric bill and one stream.
P&L, which is the next page, actually shows you the full.
It was 10,518.
I have a question about the expense sheet, if I can.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
We have it broken down by Swanee County and Columbia County. And then we have park management. Explain the difference between the three.
Is that your?
The way the accounting system is set up, we have separate accounts for individual activities that are going on. Anything that happens in Columbia County, which is all the items that you see, there's actually 14 or 15 categories. You should have received an accounting list of what we did when we did the budget, and we went specifically by item. The park management was created to take care of everything that has to do with the parks. That would be the overhead, that's gonna take care of your park ranger when his salary is approved, any mileage expenses he's gonna have, anything that goes on in park management is listed in that. Any capital improvements that's gonna be accessible and used by the entire organization comes under park management.
Okay, if I may, building repairs under park management has nothing to do with either Columbia or Swanee County?
It actually had to do with this building here. Yeah, there are certain buildings and properties that belong to the entire, anybody from that part would come in and vice versa, right?
Okay, we're in Columbia County, we thought all the buildings in Columbia County would be covered under Columbia County. That's okay. That's the way you want to track it, that's fine.
You have a suggestion, Bill?
No, whatever the board wishes to do, that's up to the board how they want to do it.
Okay, John.
Just for clarification, and I know this is going to be asked later and it's a silly question, but I want it on the record. We are talking, when you say accounts, we are talking about general ledger accounts and not actual physical accounts, correct?
Correct, these are all just in the bookkeeping QuickBooks system.
Thank you.
So that when they write a check, I know exactly where to transfer it to. There's a 3-page accounting list. Columbia County has all those expenses and numerous others. We've added to that because of the fact that we had been questioned when there were some other things that were put in other maintenance expense. So we went back and tried to make sure that the other expense was better explained. So we added some things like the remodeling / renovation to each participating thing. Park management with that, the building repairs bill, I don't remember which one that was. We had capital improvement, which is going to be the actual capital improvements to this building.
Question. Do you statistically track what's being spent in Swanee and Columbia County?
Yes. We keep it separate, yes.
If y'all would just come through the board, please, board chair. So you have another question? Sure. You have another question? That's all right. Okay. Any more questions about, just she has a summary of the budget there, and then we'll discuss approving a budget later. Any more questions on November's expenses? So do we have a motion to approve the November expenses?
I make a motion to approve the November minute.
Expenses? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me, I just got those.
Okay, John, thank you. So we'll move on then to
We need to backtrack to October.
Pardon me? Did we not?
October's were tabled last month.
Okay,
Because
thank
the
you.
report was not ready, so we need to backtrack again.
Okay, board members, do they have a copy of that?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
so you each have a copy of the October.
Right behind November. What was the second page?
Yeah, let's see, I got.
What was it? We didn't have to fix, well, this was because I didn't have the banking account. I had got to pay before the meeting.
That's right, that's right.
So this one was not available at the last meeting because I did not receive the.
So, any questions on October expenses? If not, I call for a motion to approve the October expenses and P&L.
Make 'em-
We approve the October consensus.
Second?
I second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on then to, is there anything else you have?
Not till we get to the budget.
Okay, so we'll move on to the president's report. Terry?
Okay, I finally got the, results back on the lead and nitrate test, it passed. And we'll have to do another water test on the well. I'm gonna do it sometime after, it has to be done in December, so I'm gonna do it after the Christmas holidays. And also, the Christmas party turned out real good. We had a real good turnout. I think people had a good time and we brought the community together, so we plan on doing more events next year. Also, I've, scheduled after the holidays to do a cleanup at the cemetery and Bridge Park. And I've already got people that volunteered to help out with that, and I'll be putting it on the internet to get more volunteers. So we will be cleaning up Bridge Park and trying to do something with the cemetery, the guy next door, there's too much trouble.
Okay, in regards to the cemetery, there's probably some folks in the room that aren't maybe aware of cemetery or where it is. Is there an address on
It's
that?
on Dallas.
It's on Dallas, and that's actually down near Wilson store.
It's down in Dallas by,
Middle way in the block.
yeah,
Okay.
left in the block.
On the way to Bridge.
Okay, is there a question? I would say too, that how many kids did you have at the Christmas party?
We had 54 kids.
Yeah.
We had probably, I would say almost 200 people show up between parents, no, it really turned out good.
That's one of the best events I think I've
Yeah,
seen.
people did like that, how it turned out.
Yeah, it was great.
Y'all did a great job
Yeah.
on that, Terry.
Good job.
So I would ask you, what would the committee like to see for next year? What could we do to even enhance it a little bit more? But that was a great turnout. A lot of folks there. What would you
I
like
would
to see?
like to put out flyers and all next time and we'll have more of a headway next time, we'll know what we're doing. I would like to get more Swanee side involved in this and just give this Swanee account.
And you wanted more committee involvement.
Yeah,
And different committees, instead of them trying to handle the whole thing too much.
So how do you think you could get Swanee more involved? I know we're a little ways away from there, and we're not
I thought
as.
about putting out flyers and stuff on poles and stuff, or maybe putting up little signs at the end of the road, something like
We have
that.
more time to
Yeah,
publicize in the
yeah.
newsletter too. We
Yeah.
have one newsletter with it.
Yeah.
Right.
We need more time for
Sure, George.
publicity.
May I make a suggestion? Send a personal letter to the homeowners over there, not a sign on a tree or a telephone pole or anything like that, just throwing it out there. A personal invitation to do a tree photo. Once it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. We'll get a lot of support. Back when I was on the board, we did the same thing that y'all were doing over here and gained the same membership because we became personal with people and not just throwing stuff out there and expecting people to go to the Trico website and the chat and the people were banned from it where everybody doesn't get a chance to speak, no matter what they say. because it's the First Amendment. It doesn't matter what people say. They have a right to say it. You don't have to read it or look at it.
Okay, we'll take that, we'll take yours, thanks, George. We'll take that suggestion, and our committee will start working on it, because we certainly would like to get more participation. Yeah, Bill?
I was thinking that maybe if we could, help people get their golf carts from over there to here. And for some folks, they're gonna be driving at night and everything
Right.
else, they don't have lights. And if we could get some people with trailers that wouldn't mind bringing these folks golf carts over here,
Right.
we'd have more people on your parade.
Suggestion.
Yes.
You get the sheriff's office involved in it. If they can go across the bridge and get back, but it have to be with the sheriff's office participation to keep anybody from getting killed. You would get a huge participation. But that's a nightmare and logistics.
So we can start working on that. There is some good news about the golf path, though, so I don't know if you know this or not, but in the project to go across a railroad crossing with the golf path, the funding has been approved, and that'll actually, it's supposed to be finished, I believe, in '23.
If they finish that, that would alleviate that problem.
We'll be ready for
No
this
problem.
next Christmas, but the funding is earmarked for '23. It's going to be pretty nice. They've got to work out the construction on the bridge, so it's going to be pretty nice. So anyway, anything else on the Christmas? I've got a couple of notes here we'll look at. So that was really one of the best events. That was a lot of fun, really. Sure was. Would make one suggestion though. If you're 15 or 16 years old, you probably don't need to come sit in Santa Claus's lap. So we might work on.
That's on our list. Well done. I think we have a picture of you, Chairman. On
I'm a lot older than that. Well, thank y'all. So.
Santa Claus minded.
Okay. So is you have anything else, Terry?
No,
Christmas
so,
report?
yes, I was, me and Tom was talking about it, and we got to next meeting, so it's kind of that point apart with that pavilion and all, and that grill and all down there, so it's kind of thinking that what's what nice to know what it is, but it is not a big part.
Yes, some of the maintenance folks have been talking about that, so that's something that we will work on for the start of the first of the year, looking at a couple of options on that. I think we tried to, a few years ago, I think the gentleman that built that was trying to build it a little too cheap, and so we still have a bad grill, so probably want to look at that entire park and not just focus on just the area, but take a look at the entire park and decide how a pavilion would best handle the traffic and the people coming through, can best be utilized, and maybe a way to split up a couple of areas. It may take 2 or 3 pavilions in there to do that. That way different folks can have separate events going on, or family groups together. So we can take a look at that. I think that's well noted. Okay, so anything else, Terry?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on then to the maintenance report. John, you have anything to report?
Sherry's been doing a pretty good job over there. Yeah, I think they're doing, coming pretty along on the, lights. I think I see a meter cannon all down there at Boat Ramp, right? Haven't got the power to it yet, the meter cannon all down.
Bill, did you put the stuff in at the Point Park? Okay. It looks real good.
Down at Boat Ramp, you mean?
I thought it was Point Park.
No, that bar.
Was that? Oh, okay, maybe I was just looking at the picture. Okay, great,
I
okay.
did do Point Park, it looks good.
Okay, all right. I thought
The
so.
gate that you constructed, where did that gate go?
It's right here. We're
Waiting to be
getting ready.
involved.
Oh,
It'll be installed during the holidays.
okay.
I don't really have a whole lot. We just, everybody's working on a little bit of project here and there, and I appreciate the guys that came down and pressure washed the, down at midpoint. And, we got a few little projects going on down there, I understand. That's the only ones I know of right now. Is there anything going on? I found out yesterday that we did acquire a little more land than we thought we had over on the boat ramp on the Swanee side. undoubtedly that piece of property sold next to the boat ramp, and according to the surveyor, look like we got about 30 more feet till you drive down the driveway to the left. So we're gonna go out and put some more stakes where their stakes are now. Bridge Steel come in, make sure the new
Make
people
sure the
know
new people
that,
know that they got.
that we got some more property than, they got a little less than what they thought they had.
Well, if y'all could, let's not tell the property appraiser. They tax the riverfront pretty high, so.
Put some PVC stakes down there and say, hey, bud, what the hell?
All right, John, is anything else?
That's all
Yeah, Tommy?
Right now, everything else seems to be going pretty good over there, cranking all, except for the water. It's still a little murky right down there right now, so less than that, we're gonna wait till it dries up a little bit and see what the rock situation looks like. We still need to do a little more rock down there. Midpoint and Point Park, so we need to look at that equation and work on that some too.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, John. Tommy, you had a question or
Yeah,
comment?
just remind her if we can get the person that mows the grass.
And I talked to him today, Tommy.
Okay, do we have anything else on the maintenance? If not, we'll move on to the Communications Committee's report.
Okay. I do, well, I'll bring under new business. Well, let's go into maintenance before we slide on to the other. There's two things that, this is for future, like after the first of the year, possible projects. Like you have plenty to do. Is there any way, because one of the things at Fishing Park is we do have the rocks out, it does keep the four-wheelers from tearing it up, but the access to it, and I know we had talked about different things, like maybe possibly just doing some natural stairs down so that people can get down. I mean, I know they can walk, but if they're handicapped, you're right. Is there any way we possibly could think of a way to maybe make a walkway out to the river and then just a small dock, just so they can get down there safely and then just have a small place to fish? So this is just something for you guys to think over. You'll have all the ideas. And the other one, we've had people request on the Swanee boat, the boat ramp. Is there any way just to put a small little dock over there? Is there anywhere that
At the
would be safe?
Swanee Boat Ramp?
Mhm.
I have never heard that one before.
Well, we've had
A
several.
couple of members mention it.
Okay, and how
Different
would,
ones.
and in the location where the actual boat ramp is, where would you look to put the dock?
Got 30 more feet in that.
I don't know. There you go. We'll have a
Okay, that's pretty
committee on
simple.
that. But those are just two ideas that people have been asking about.
Okay.
Well, kids like to play between the rock and the tree right there by the ramp. And then you got a section of rock. Now there's a drop off when you get to swim off there, but possibly do something right there for a dock. Because if you're going down to the left too much further, then you got more area where boats like to park. So maybe somewhere in that middle area where that rock is. I mean, you got that drop off.
Yeah.
It would kind of, I don't know, be something for that maybe.
It's just a thought.
That's a very good idea. And John, why don't you get a committee of some folks from, just one second, George, some folks from the Swanee side and take a look at that. And you want to certainly be conscious of floodwaters, a dock under the water,
We have to do a floating dock or something.
and take a look at what's going to be safe.
I just, whatever we put down there, I wouldn't want it to mess up the little bit of sandy area that we got for where the kids like to play, you know.
That's right.
And then there's one other recommendation, it could go right in conjunction with that, is that we talked about expanding the wings on that ramp, because there's a lot of the
Yes.
big deck boats
We want to try to do
are having
that.
some issues
We
with
need
that.
to do
So
that
we were
first
waiting
of
for the
all.
water to go down, so if you can
Yeah.
kind of gauge that and let us know. Yeah, George?
With the addition of 70 feet,
30.
7 feet, I'm not
30
sure.
feet.
30 feet. The dock can only go out to the overhang of the tree between the two most outward points. So pick your spot according to where you get the most dock.
Right, it'll have to be 10 feet off of any line also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so. would be. So that would be something y'all can plan out and maybe bring back a little drawing on that. Now, we'd have to get a permit from the management district for both of those projects. You don't? Or was it DEP that turned it up?
Last year, for anything. not
Even for a
Santa Fe.
floating dog?
Santa Fe is one of the rules.
Pardon?
Even for a floating dog?
It's attached to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if it is attached, I think you're correct. Well, we'll find out what we have to do. We want to make sure we comply, so, Okay,
Okay,
anything
so
else?
we're finished with maintenance now, sorry.
all right?
We're going to communications. Before we get to that, with membership, I guess we kind of skipped that at the beginning. As of right now, on the Columbia side, we have 715 members. Swanee side, we have 248. So we are now at 963, which will probably wind up the year.
That's good.
And we've got them, they're coming in really well for the year 22 with the online as well as through the mail.
Okay, well, the keys are cut, and I think there's about 800 or 900 keys cut, so we'll be ready to start stamping those
We've got-
keys. And
yeah, we've got our
I think,
list.
Mr. Arnett, you're going to lead the charge on that, and is that correct?
What?
The keys? Turn your hearing aid.
I had done
I know what you're
All
doing.
right,
was
and
turning it
mark your calendar, January 22nd, Glenn, and January 22nd, Charlie, for Key Day. Key Day is January 22nd, so mark your calendars for that. And we're also gonna have a community potluck, so if you're gonna come by, even if you're not coming to pick up a key, come by and hang out and enjoy everybody's company.
January
And if
22nd.
it's real cold, we're gonna be in here, or at least I will be.
Yes, y'all need me, huh?
Yes, we need you.
Okay, let's get back to order.
All right.
Anything else, Vonda?
Yes, so I wanna kind of reiterate on hers, on Terry's, is I wanna thank everyone, I wanna thank Terry, Nikki, Kathy Riker, and my daughter Danielle. If we had not done that part that morning, we got here, I think at 9, it didn't start till 2, but it took every bit. And that's when we decided we're gonna have some committees next year, so if anybody would like to participate, we welcome any help next year.
What about Mr. Claus? He was there.
Yes, Mr. Claus, Mrs. Claus, anyone that came out and participated by decorating their car, their golf cart, that was a great success.
Junior models were really nice too.
Yes.
I like those.
Yes, yes. Anyone that we had lots of members baked cookies. We had, and this all was pulled off by financial donors within our community. So I want to thank all of you guys personally that gave us money to help us pull that
About how
off.
much money did you get?
Maybe 300, about 300. 300, but yeah.
Okay.
There was probably more, but that's the cash that we brought in.
Okay.
So we spent
Very
money
good.
too. And then we had people decorate the tree, but everybody pulled together and pulled off a really great event. And it took everybody working together. So those of you, like I said, that baked cookies, gave money in any capacity, just thank you. And clean up. Yes, we did. So thank you everybody for everything. And I think that's it. Other than, like I said, membership, you can go to treepo.net. You can click the little green button and could do your membership online. You still can mail it in. You can contact Terry if you're just in the area. And one of the keys are, as soon as we get some numbers on them, they'll be going out. She's got the envelopes ready to go. So it's 20 seconds. That's
We're
right.
ready for y'all.
Yeah, need some stamps. So that's it.
I did notice that you had some activities for the kids underneath the shelter.
We did. They made Christmas ornaments,
Face painting.
face painting, glitter tattoos.
I know that most times kids can't focus but so long
And
on
Lady
that.
Cuevas, how did I forget her? She did the face painting and did a fantastic
Now that was,
job.
I hope you can get her back. That was good.
Yes.
Yeah. So might suggest maybe that you have a couple of other areas and create some activity, maybe outside of that area there, that you can have that area, but to keep them
With
focused.
committees, we can do this.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it's going to take, and we are going to do an Easter. We've got to pick a date, and we'll be
Oh,
doing
and the
it.
DJ too.
Oh, and DJ Chris. It took the whole community to
Took a
put it on.
village.
It did, it
Took a
did.
village.
So maybe you could get the fire trucks there too next year, and they could do something.
Well, we
like that.
tried, it got in an accident.
Okay.
They called me the Saturday after, said they would come.
Okay. Bill, you have a question or
Yeah, I'm
comment?
thinking, are you planning on having the A-frame finished up for like people to look through?
People are what?
The A-frame, you were gonna set it up with some of the artifacts and stuff in there.
That's our goal, but we haven't had the opportunity to get there
I
yet,
was gonna
so.
say that could be something for the kids, somebody to walk in.
Right,
We're
we're,
working in there right now.
we're getting things to the
We're getting
point
our
where
money's worth out of it
where we
right now.
can do that, we hope, Bill, so.
That'd be nice.
Make a museum out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from communications?
No.
All right, then we'll move on to discussion action items. We have the Park Committee report, and Tommy, you're going to make that report, and you entrusted into me the job description, and I left a page out, the most important
Mr.
page.
Chairman, I was gonna take the hit for that, but.
No, I did it.
You're welcome to take it. I appreciate it. I can report that there was a committee, and I can report that there was a committee report, and it's just one of those unfortunate things that some of it got left out. There's a good section that goes with the job description, and it just happened that unfortunately it was left out. So I would recommend that we wait until maybe the next meeting to vote on that.
So I know that we want to get somebody on board, at least we talked about having somebody on board by January, and if I hadn't made that mistake with that tonight, we could have already done that. So, is there any way we can facilitate that going forward, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think we could do an application, but I guess they're gonna argue that they need to know what the job description is, and there's a big portion of that that needed to be
It could be
included.
ready tomorrow.
Right, it had the duties and requirements for that job and what they would be doing.
The only thing I can do is tell the board that, I don't have that part of it with me, but I can tell the board that there's, it basically describes what the person will be expected to do, who the person answers to. It leaves it up to the board to make decisions about certain responsibilities. It's a roving position. The person would be responsible for all parks, all ramps in both Columbia and Swanee counties, and would serve in a not only roving position, but a subject to call, not an on call, but a subject to call, so that in times of need they would respond. They would be responsible for overseeing almost everything related to the parks, including maintenance, utilities. It doesn't mean they would have to perform those duties, but perform the overseeing of those duties to notify the board through the president and the chair of
Unsafe conditions or
unsafe
activity,
conditions, things that need
or
to be
unwarranted
repaired,
activity.
or incidents that need to be addressed. So there's a whole list of things that we went ahead and included in that, and so it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, if you want. This is just one part of it. This is just the others had to.
I left out the important page, Carol, when we were working on it, so I
Yeah,
apologize.
we had that conversation already.
Yeah,
I barely got out of the office
nobody's fault.
as it is to
It
get
happens,
here.
It happens, and so it's just up to you and the board as to whether or not you want to vote to move forward with it, or you want to have and this may be a conversation you want to have, I don't know, with a parliamentarian, but if you're going to vote on the job description or vote to move forward with it, then my recommendation is that that you vote on the job description as well. But it's,
Well, why don't we do this then, based on your comments? Why don't we have the meeting, the second meeting in January, approve it, and then go out with applications, and then hopefully try to have it done and ready to be in place by February.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
wish
gonna
it
be a
could
lot.
be done faster, and I'm like you, I really had hoped that we could do that, but I think that in order to be exact on this and do what we're supposed to do as a board, we probably need to have those the total and complete job description in place.
Can we get that?
You can have that by
Send it to us.
tomorrow afternoon and send it by email. So
Well, you could email it to the
you
board.
could do it both by email if you wanted to.
I just like just reading.
You could-
I'm sorry, that would be the only other option, and if, you know, you wanted to approve it contingent upon the board reading and send it out to each board member, and let the board member vote on that. I'm not sure if that passes parliamentarian.
Sounds like a Nancy Pelosi thing.
Bill, you have a comment? Just have your-
Vote on it by email.
Bill, you have a comment on that?
No,
On that procedure, would that work?
Want to vote by email?
Yeah,
Do bylaws allow you to vote by email?
I have no idea. We didn't have email when the bylaws were written.
Can you vote by phone or by any other media, bylaw?
Probably not.
Okay, then that answers your question. If you're delayed a month, what difference is that gonna make?
Probably not much.
Okay.
Are you good with that, Tommy? We'll do it in January. Yeah, George, you want to make a comment? Go ahead.
The disposition, will they be able to bring to the board the violations of the bylaws, such as people, transients living in campers?
Yeah, let me say something about that. Typically, what they're going to be responsible for are the parks, which is TREPO property, common property for TREPO. They won't be responsible for homes or streets. That's going to be a code enforcement. Now, if they see something, or you see something, or any of us see something, we can.
That's not my question.
Okay.
Is TREPO has the authority to, I guess, if they decide to do it, to bring actions against people that are living in campers permanently and not dwellings. This is a property owners association.
Correct.
It has restrictions on the deeds, on most of them. Some of them are
Right.
not
Right.
within that scope. And if he's out riding around, what stops him from making notes of those and turning them in to the board for the attorney to take the appropriate action, or get the county to enforce the county ordinance by virtue of filing a complaint?
Right.
It's unreal on the Swanee side, people bringing the campers out.
That's not, we've discussed this before for violations. We just have been trying to get order in this board for a year to get to this point. So we've got now about 11 months trying to get order back in the board going forward. Right now, because of the issues associated with the parks and rules and a lot of the violations, the board wanted to start with the park ranger to kind of help oversee hazardous situations, things that need to be corrected, support the gatekeepers, just make sure that our parks are safe and secure. We've had some issues in the past that have had some liability associated with them. Yeah. So, but that's not to say that we can't address that point at some point in the future. Don't want to tie it all together with that right now is the key thing.
You've got to get the foundation back.
That's correct.
Before you can do any of it.
Correct, and I appreciate that. That's what we're
not operating within the scope that it was
Correct.
outlined to be at this point,
Right.
so there's no teeth in anything.
That's correct. So we're working on that.
I
So,
have a question.
okay, yes.
There was a rumor that we were gonna have an armed security person rolling.
Who said that?
I bringing it to the board, I heard it, and I just wanted to
I didn't hear your description, did it?
and have you say no.
Didn't like anything.
Joan, please put your guns up. So,
I don't think we ever discussed
I
it.
just wanted to make sure that the board is on that channel.
yeah, we're not going down that road
Somebody,
yet.
that's a
I
rumor.
think we could afford that. I don't think we could afford that
When
one.
I
No, really.
asked, and
Not to
I
say that people aren't
said,
carrying, I can assure you that.
Okay. Nobody said anything about carrying. I'm asking the board, that this security person would not be an armed security guard.
Mr. Trammell, you want to address that?
At no time have we ever discussed, Mr. Chairman, having an armed security officer.
Thank you.
But if you're suggesting that we have one, we
No.
can send them over to Mr. Duran's place and let him train them.
That's
But
right.
no, the answer is absolutely no. No, sir,
Thank you.
no.
If we want that, we have professional security, and it's item 706 in park management. And that's the Columbia County Sheriff.
That requires,
Okay. All right, let's bring it back. Thank you.
Can't carry a gun, I'm not lying.
Thank you for your comment, Joan, and George, thank you for that. We are looking at that, we just are trying to find a way to get some teeth in it. So we've got a basic description we're going to start with, and that has been the intent for some time to look at that.
We got 10 people.
So with that said, we will, anything else, Tommy, that you need to?
no, Mr. Chairman.
I promise you I'll get it right this time. Okay.
It's all right, I forgive you.
Okay, we'll move on to camera security. Charlie, give us an update of where we are. Things seem to be moving along pretty well.
Actually, things are moving along great. We have all the cameras in this park and, of course, Swanee Boat Ramp, so we can see everything we need to see at both locations. We did come in under budget for both of those parks. However, I'm hesitant to move forward to the next part until after the the next budget's approved, because while we came in under, there's still not enough to do the next park. So we'll hold off until after the first, I guess. Let the new budget kick in and get moving on the next one. But yeah, I've been checking the cameras pretty regular just to make sure that everything's up and working and haven't had any issues. So
And so
very happy with that.
We're technically looking to move next to like midpoint, point, boat ramp,
Yes,
and then fishing.
and then fishing. Yes, so I think we'll go ahead and it's up to you. It's up to you guys. But I was thinking we go ahead and move on down the Ichtuckney, and then we'll head over to the Santa Fe on boat ramp, and that way we got. I mean, I'll do it in whatever order you tell me to do it in. But, I
I don't think we have any preference. So
Yeah, so we're going to head on down to see the lead.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Since the power is already at Point Park, wouldn't that be a point to do the next camera system?
We could do that. Like I said, however y'all direct me to do
Because
that.
it would be nice to be able to have communications as we're doing it.
How long do you keep a
Okay.
film, and how, I mean, indefinitely, or just record over it? or-
If you just come back to
Um,
the chair here. So go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So it's recorded digitally, so on hard drive, so it's not exactly film, but and then once the hard drive fills up, it starts recording over. But I do have some large hard drives, so it keeps it for a pretty good amount of time. And we can also, at any point that we see an issue, we can download that, put it on a flash drive, put it wherever we want it. That way we don't have to worry about it getting overwritten.
Okay, I got you, I'm just old, I was thinking like,
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You're talking about the ones that have the little holes on the side?
And of course, we all agreed that all the camera equipment and everything, of course, is all it costs. So I've been giving Vicki any receipts on that, but we got really lucky in that. Of course, I volunteered my time, but my team did the same thing. When I told my team, "Hey, I got to go put on all these cameras and stuff," they said, "Hey, let me help." And I said, "Well, it's not a paid gig," and they was like, "I don't care." So,
Awesome.
and they don't even live here, so that was really nice of them. So
Thank you.
I was very happy about that.
Okay, Charlie. Any questions of Charlie going forward?
Do you need direction on where to go with the next camera?
No, sir. I'll figure it out unless y'all have a preference. Otherwise, I'll figure it out tomorrow.
So we have a question. We have a question in the back. Did you raise your hand?
Sorry.
Or are you just waving?
I talk with my hands sometimes.
That's okay. All right. Any more questions of Charlie? All right, we'll move on then to budget. Girls?
Each of you got you got the actual budget based on individual line items last month. And that was, like I said, last month, that was based on the 2-hour-long budget meeting that we had, just to kind of go over what we already do in terms of our regular expenses, like your newsletters, your electricity, your things that you already know. We already know that Trico does on a regular basis, your bookkeeping, your computer repairs, all your legal services, your insurance, your licenses, those things are all pretty well set. We kind of carried those over. We only identified a few areas that needed to be either increased or decreased based on this last year's expenses. Those items that we wanted to add to this year's coming budget were highlighted in blue on your papers. If you remember, if you have, brought your papers. If not, I have a couple of extras. You need to look at it. But the added expense under administrative, we'll just do those real quickly. And that was the $20,000, which what Charlie's talking about, was for our camera expenses of security equipment. And that's to move forward with all the rest of the parks, putting up the cameras and things. Then going into Columbia's expenses, they pretty well stayed the same. I think the only difference was maybe we included a $5,000 budget kind of item just for renovation projects that y'all have already ongoing. Some of them have already been approved. We just need to have the funds coming in from our membership budget, which are coming, your income that's coming in. We did have, because of the fact that the Christmas event has been so well attended, we had asked for an additional $1,600 to put on events for the entire year for next year, and they only asked for $16,000, and that's a lot of that'll be recouped, obviously, because you have people within the organization that have made donations and will make donations, and that's where you're going to actually see an increase in your income too, is from the anticipation of having that done. On your last page, which is your park management, that's where the expenses really start getting a little bit heftier, and that's because those are capital improvements that were spoken about, things that we're going to do to this clubhouse to actually improve it, to be able to use it for venues, maybe have it as a meeting room for other people besides just Tripo, have it as a event for, like, if you wanted to have a reception here, if you had a wedding out there in the park and you come back in here and you want to have your reception. I mean, those are things that you could actually, once you remodel this, you would be able to use this as a venue for other things and can actually charge and recoup your expenses for repairs and things that we're going to do to this building. Then the other big expenses you've already talked about is adding to your budget the Tripo Park Ranger, which is I guess it's the Ranger, is that what you're calling it?
Well,
We changed his name, I think, on the description. What did you call him?
It's park manager.
Manager.
I was
We'll switch the
I was
Ranger
afraid
out
the
for
ranger
manager.
might have the wrong gun and.
You think he's gonna have to go be on his horse? Anyway, we'll switch the name from Tripo Park Ranger to Tripo Park Manager.
Might be on a horse or something.
Yeah, I thought, that's what I was thinking, putting on horseback, yeah. Anyway, so that expense was the $25,000, and that includes the expenses would be for his mileage and things that he would need to do his job. So that's kind of where that number came from. So based on those figures and based on the fact that we already have, a significant amount of money in the bank, you're looking at your budget expenses was the $201,040. With the new request was the $101,600, and then your proposed income comes from your membership, it comes from donations, it comes from fundraisers, it comes from rental fees. And obviously, the budget gives you a plan of action of where you're going to go in the future. It's not set in stone to where you actually have to spend that money just because you asked for it to be allocated. The other thing too is when you have money in an account, it's not doing anybody any good sitting there. So if it can be used to help better this club and better the security and better the benefits to all the members, then you need to go ahead and start utilizing it. So that's part of the reason that, you know, I know that it looks like a big amount of money, but if you do what you need to do throughout the year, you're going to be bringing that income back in. So I don't think the budget's out of line with what you're wanting to do
Okay.
with the facilities and with the other things. So it's just up to, you know, y'all's decision if you want to go
Yes.
line by line and change it,
Sure,
or
let's
fix it, or
ask
what.
any board members, do you have any questions or comments?
Hey, another question.
Well, okay, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
Under the venue rentals, are we gonna be renting out to other people other than Three Rivers?
Well, I think that you should charge your membership if they're gonna use
Yeah,
this
we
for
wouldn't,
certain
yeah, we
things.
wouldn't have anybody outside of the homeowners association
We
involved in that.
already have 900 members
Right.
on the books.
That's what I'm saying,
And I
personally,
can't see asking all of Fort White
no,
to
no,
come
no,
and
no,
rent.
no, I'm just
It
saying.
wouldn't be
that-
available to them because they're not
No,
members.
I would say, like, if I wanted to have a Christmas party and wanted to rent this, I would rent their space.
Yeah.
And
You
so
know,
all
I'd be
that,
willing to give you a couple of $100 to let me come here, put up a Christmas tree, and have family here if I wanted
But
to.
not right this minute.
Not today.
But we do have some, we do have some.
so that's only, let me just say this, that's been discussed, but we haven't set anything in stone, and we'll come back and address that, so.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
You'll still have the opportunity to speak to that if we get to that point.
I think it's a good idea. Always have.
So any board members, anyone else have any questions?
I do not. I want to clarify one thing. That was another rumor on the internet, the famous internet. People saw $200,000 and like they're raising our fees, they're raising our membership, and it's not. I don't think they took into account that it's pulling over the money that we currently have to add to what we feel we're going to bring in. So it's not. We're not raising it just to get this amount of money. That's all I'm going to clarify.
Yeah, John.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say good morning to everybody here, all the board members and the people here. You know, it's not like when I first started here 10 or 15 years ago, we only had 200 or 300 members. You know, we didn't need a very big budget. You know, we had a hole in the fence or whatever. You know, now we've, you know, as Sassy would say, the secret's been let out. You know, we're almost to 1,000 members. We need the money to maintain what we have here, to keep it up for people, to have a good time and to keep things above ground. So it's just not like a little bitty hole in the wall anymore. We need the projects going on. We need to rebuild this building. It's been way overdue. All these projects need to be done. We need the money. It's not like we're throwing it away. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to save Tripo money, but we need to spend it, period.
Okay, yeah, Charlie?
That said, in the good old internet, I have been online squishing the rumor over and over again about us raising dues. As far as I know, there's nobody at this table that wants to raise dues. So if I'm wrong in that, please correct me. But has anyone heard anything from any other board member, anything about about raising any dues? Good. Glad we're all on the same page on that. And it's on video so everybody can watch it and see that everybody on this board has said we're not raising dues. I'm just tired of squashing the same rumor again and again.
Okay, well, let's don't then, so we'll go forward with that. So, any other board members have any comments?
I had brought to me that with a $200,000, we would have to do something with increasing the dues. And I said, I don't believe that's the case. But I'm glad, Charlie, that you have stated the fact that the dues will remain the same.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Joan.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
Charlie.
it.
You could actually go down on the news if you sit the other side of the property owners and get them paid over these and let them keep up with what they're supposed to be paying as a property member of the property owners association. But most of these people don't even have a clue they owe any money because nobody's ever communicated with them to tell them you're supposed to send in $25 a year. Until you tell somebody they owe the money, they're not going to pay. And as long as this is
Every year they have sent out invoices.
No, ma'am, they're not.
They have, we didn't this year.
No, ma'am, you're not. They haven't been. I used to
In
be
the
on the
newsletter.
board.
Well, I've got a whole
Wait a minute,
stack.
wait a minute. Wait, no, we're
I have
not.
a whole stack in there.
We're gonna come through here. The question will come through here. You have a question?
Oh, I haven't finished.
Okay.
But until that happens, the money's
We
not
can't
going
hear
to
back
come
here,
in.
so we're clueless to what he's saying.
I haven't received anything since I got off the board. Nothing.
Okay.
So, I can only speak for what I know and the people I know that have received nothing on their property.
Is that, see one of the restaurants?
Restaurant, yeah.
Does it work?
The noise is coming from there.
Let's be safe. Don't go in there.
No disrespect, ma'am, but all I can speak to the facts.
Okay.
that I know.
All right, we'll
We can
we'll
address that.
work to address that. So yes, Joan.
There are many people I've spoken to that have never received newsletters. Particularly, Linda Heiser has never gotten one. In the last 3 years.
I hand delivered her
2
one.
years.
But her address is correct in our file. And how I know this is because the last newsletter that went out, I got a phone call from Karen Fonts saying that we only had 19 addresses kicked back. So as of our last newsletter, all of our TREPO members' addresses are in there correctly.
Okay.
Don't you send one a year to everybody, all property owners?
I don't send them
What happened to
out.
that?
I don't send them out. I'm just saying I have the list.
It has to be sent to every property owner at least once a year to let them have that opportunity to join the corporation or whatever.
Okay. So we're actually getting off of the subject of the budget right
Let
now.
me say
So
one last thing.
pardon?
Well, that's
Yes.
Last year, when the invoices were sent out, they were sent out to all property owners that the county gave Karen. All the addresses that supposedly fell under Three Rivers, she had all the addresses and they all went out. But we got
Okay.
a lot back.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a question, George? And we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay, this does pertain to the budget because
Okay.
it's income for the budget
Right.
to fund the stuff. It's the most key point that you can get to fund the budget
Right.
is having the members pay their dues.
Right.
I mean, if you exclude that out of the budget process, you're not gonna have any money to operate on. And if, all the property owners, if you did Columbia County, I appreciate that. But Swanee County didn't get, the property owners didn't get anything. You can go to and get a printout from the tax assessor's office with every address, and they'll even do it on the labels, all you have to stick it on it.
That's what Karen did.
Okay. All right. Thanks, George.
Any old business.
We'll get to that under old business. We're going to finish up this budget discussion and approve a budget or reject a budget. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I move we accept the budget.
We have a
I
motion
second
by
that.
Charlie, and we have a second by Charlie. So is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on now to new business. Is there any new business to come before the board tonight? Okay, we'll go on to old business.
Yes.
Okay.
It's come to my attention that I need to know who exactly is our officers, and are they legitimately the permanent residents of Freehold?
Who can speak to that? Who are our officers? We'll go down the line.
Terry?
I'm a permanent resident, I've been here for 29 years. I've been licensed since 2004.
Okay, and Vicki?
Been here 6 years, I'm a resident,
Yeah.
Swanee County.
So are you referring to someone in particular?
I want to know who our treasurer is.
Vicky?
I'm the treasurer.
By the bylaws, you can't hold both offices
Both offices of what?
of secretary and
I'm not
treasurer.
secretary, we voted Carol as interim.
I'm the interim until you have an election.
But
I
who
am
is
not,
that?
I am not a resident, but I am a owner.
Appointed.
On
And who
properties,
is the treasurer?
I'm the treasurer.
Vicky.
And who is the secretary?
She's interim, so she can take minutes for us.
She can't be the secretary because
She's
our
appointed.
secretary, our officers must be permanent residents of Trepo. I had to wait on the board before I could ever do anything because I was transporting back and forth from St. Pete for like 6 years for the board.
Okay, so,
I'm just filling in, I'm not actually the secretary. I'm just
We still
filling
have
in.
a secretary on the books. She's just acting so she can take minutes for us.
so.
Technically, Bethany is still the
So who
secretary.
is the
Yep.
secretary?
Beth,
Bethany's actually the secretary, but she doesn't attend the meetings, so we decided to have an interim, so.
Does she know that?
since I'm coming anyway.
Or
I'll
she
take
should
a
know, she
minute.
ran for the office and accepted.
Wait a
She didn't know
minute.
she
Oh,
did.
okay, we're getting a little bit off course here.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, so
can you verify who our secretary is, sir?
Bethany was elected secretary. Bethany has not attended meetings, and the board, for the purpose of taking care of business through the president, asked Carol Strickland to step in and act in that role. I don't know that it's official, but she's asked her, it's not officially done through an election, but she is actually managing that for the board because we had no secretary. So that's where it stands right now.
She left out and they.
Right, so we're not gonna beat that horse to death, we're gonna, unless there's any
I
other.
just would like to have an official
So you-
secretary.
Okay, thank you.
That would be nice.
Yes, George?
Is she legitimately not attending the meetings, or is she not attending the meetings by choice, or is there medical issues, or why is she attending the meetings?
I have no idea.
Communication.
No call, no show.
Matter of fact, yeah.
There's a process for that.
Yeah. We're just gonna leave it where it lays, we're moving forward what we got, and we'll deal with it in the next election. Unless the board wants to take any other actions, board comfortable with that? Okay. Okay, so, any more old business? Anyone? Okay, is there anyone from the, public who'd like to speak to the board? George, you got anything else you want to say? Yes, ma'am, go ahead, she raised her hand, you did.
It's really line, but it's just an observation when I
Yes.
was helping with the Christmas deal. It would be really nice if they would make that door easier to unlock on the A-frame.
Yes.
Yeah, we need a new lock.
Okay, I'll do this. He's coming to reset our locks, and so John, when he comes to do that, let's get our gentleman to do that that does the keys. We'll get him to fix those locks.
Which one? Front door?
The A-frame.
Whatever locks don't
Yeah,
work.
the A-frame front door.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to get this clarification. George said that Trepo is now a nonprofit, so I would like to know when the board could just look into that and clarify, is it is or is it ain't?
Okay.
You know?
I'll actually ask that question of the CPA. Last year,
It is a
we
nonprofit.
filed, when I came on board as the chairman last year,
Oh,
We-
hang on.
It is a nonprofit.
She's got the
I brought the
documents.
documents 2 meetings ago.
oh, you did, okay.
I
So,
printed them off the
so-
internet. We are a nonprofit.
so let's get those documents. I didn't realize that had been,
Florida.
okay, so we'll do that, and I'll get with you in a meeting,
Okay.
and we'll get you that for you.
Are we a nonprofit or are we profit?
Wait a minute, where's, somebody else is talking, Joe?
I'll address your question that started a while ago.
Yes,
The reason I am getting back involved
yeah,
is because of all of the garbage that's going on. And the lies are going to stop. And I'm going to clear up a bunch of people talking trash.
Thank you.
that'd be great, appreciate that.
And for me to do that, I have to have the cooperation of the board to get the facts. And I ask only questions. But I will get to the bottom of it, and whatever the truth is what it'll be. John knows me, I used to be a John, we had 900
Okay,
members
so-
when he was on the board. But
You made your point, and we will respond to your request. And so I did have another question in the back, Bill.
Yeah, I put something out on the internet on, the chat group about the methamphetamines, the issue that's going on across the country, and I sent out something, a flyer for everybody to take a look at, of what to look for in their neighborhood. And people know what's going on in their neighborhoods. Unless they say something about it, I worked 20 years in the fire service, and I worked 7 years in a recovery center as a director. People's lives can be put back together, but if you were talking about transient housing, that attracts people to our community, and that don't have money, and they make money by doing exactly that. And these homes that they're making this stuff in should be tore down because of the chemicals that are used and boiled up inside these, and kids are inside of them.
Sure.
I'm just, take a look at that article I sent out. It was put out by the federal government. And like I said, people know what's going on around them. They need to say something. All it's going to happen is going to kill our kids.
Well, Bill, appreciate that. We've got pretty good code enforcement in Columbia because they have come down and rectified a couple of situations that we've had here on properties that had issues. I don't know about Suwannee counties.
We don't have code enforcement, and we don't have anybody that'll do anything about any of it. Sheriff's Department won't do anything.
Do you have things over there?
Do you have a commissioner for your district over there?
The politics force is going to be.
What's Sam's number?
Yes, ma'am.
The only thing he's done is fix the road.
Yes, ma'am. Question?
It is hard to hear back here, but I
Sorry.
thought I heard something about having a park manager roam
Yes.
3 Rivers
Yes.
and enforce camper and whatever.
No.
I can personally speak to the fact that I've been trying to move out here since April, and I'm.
No, it's not your man.
everything.
That's not what.
No, the part, he would just be doing the part.
Yes, well, I was just gonna say, believe me, codes enforcement for Columbia County does their job.
Yeah.
That's why.
So it may be the way that we communicate as a board for the property owners and have some mechanism to where people can report. And we've talked about this before, but now you can't go out and file a complaint. There's a new law unless you put your name on it. That's a fact. And so we've actually discussed this before and said that if someone has a complaint and they want it to go forward, that this board will take that complaint and we'll file it through the chairman and the president. So if that's what we have to do, we have to put a name on it, then that's a little extra work, but we'll do that because I understand, and neighbors do have problems, side by side, and they find something wrong with them and they find something wrong with them. So we want the pettiness out, but we want to deal with the code issues. So anything else? Yes, Charlie.
Code enforcement for Suwannee County. You'll want to contact Ronald Meeks. He is at the building department on Pine Avenue in Live Oak. So if anybody would like to talk to him.
That's a joke.
It is technically his job, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Maybe let me ask you this question then, George. You're on the Suwannee side. Why don't you invite him to our next meeting?
I can do that.
Okay. So why don't we do that?
He can invite the sheriff too.
Sure. So why don't we consider that? We might put that on the. If you'll let me know, we'll put it on the agenda. We'll nip that one in the bud. Yes, ma'am.
I contacted Ron Meeks because we had an individual in a rental situation that was running a generator 24/7 and driving the neighbors crazy. And they came out several times to check to see if everything they were doing legit, if they had water, they were able to flush toilets, because I don't even think they had electricity. They weren't able to flush anything. But they responded twice that I know of that came out, so.
And on Suwannee?
Yeah,
And did they resolve the issue?
I think everything was legit, but,
Oh, okay.
but they moved shortly thereafter, so it was a good thing.
Okay. So we're getting ready to shut this down now.
There again,
Okay.
that was one of those transient people coming in, living in a camper.
Okay. So, is there anything else we want to go back and discuss? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Appreciate all the work and efforts of everybody. Yes, Bill?
Sorry, but you're gonna need a motion to.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, a second by Tommy. Now, how long do y'all want to discuss this? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we're done. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Motion what? Okay. I didn't think so. I got it.
Thank you for what you do.
Would you put maybe interim?
Very much.
This is liability insurance that was paid every
Board appointed?
Oh, we'll see it on the $2,000 bill.
Thank you.
Hey, should I put in my
Bill pays, Bill Martin? Getting paid for
Bill Martin?
Yeah. Okay. Good night, Tommy. Good night. Are we all here?